Good morning, doctor. Welcome back.
Good morning, Venkatesh. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome back. So
The
I'll
feedback on the feedback on your introduction is very good so far.
thank you. Thank you. Great.
Okay.
So I'll
Yeah.
just, as usual, take a line or two to introduce the topic and then hand over to you. Yeah.
Right.
So our
Right.
topic for today is minimalism, and
Right.
it's part of our series because, in a way, it's possibly the easiest or one of the best paths to balance uh,
Right.
across philosophies, both ancient Greek, Indian, Oriental, Japanese. Minimalism has been talked about as one of the most important things to center one's life around. And today we'll sort of delve into it from a wellness perspective as to why that is so. Yeah, over to you, doctor.
Okay. Thank you, Venkatesh, again. Now, today, minimalism is a word that has been respected but not fully understood.
Right.
The moment you say minimalism, people say, "Oh my God, something big." It's not really the case.
Correct.
And people need not be unnecessarily scared of the word minimalism because there is no political overtones to that. And we'll see more into this minimalism right now.
Right.
Okay, next slide, please. Now, there is a mindset. All of us have mindsets and all of us have lifestyles. Our lifestyles depend upon mindsets and mindset and vice versa.
Right.
So everything, that relates to this, your personality, your day-to-day living, everything is controlled by one amorphous, at the same time, uniformly spread out way of your living and behaving.
Correct.
So your behavior, your understanding, your whatever else you do on a daily basis. Mind you, it is not just
Correct.
a one-off thing. Not that
Correct.
you on one day you have the lifestyle, on Tuesday you don't have it or something like that. It's not so.
Right.
Lifestyle mindset stay with you 24 by 7
Right.
and will only increasingly influence your behavior as you go along in life, as you collect more persons to interact with and more material things to deal with.
Yeah.
Venkatesh, what do you say?
No, absolutely. I think it's a ongoing theme that you've been talking about, which is one-offs are not what we are talking about. It's about sustainability. And when one sustains things is when it becomes part of oneself. Lifestyle is just a word to capture that, right? That it basically is about how you live 24/7. Your habits are you in a manner. Yeah.
Right, right. Good. So lifestyle is also outward looking. People can see your lifestyle.
Right.
Mindset is your own. You have imbibed it and
Correct.
you live with it. So both are extremely close, but
And
both
feed
are,
off each other.
yeah, important to understand together.
Correct.
Next slide, please. Now, the moment you say minimalism, you wonder what is minimal about anything in life.
Right.
Body minimal, mind minimal, your clothes, your relationships, your family, are they minimal or what is it like?
Correct.
There is a psychology of greed in this, not in the way we live normally.
Correct.
Greed is something that is inculcated in our living and being right from childhood.
Right.
In a family, an elder son, elder brother will have a particular way of doing things, and the younger one will like to copy it and then do more of it. And he wants to take more and more of what is available at home and what is available at home in the office and so on. So this is to do with possessing. You possess something, and that gives your identity. And if you don't have it, you feel lost. So there is an element of greed in the very way we live, right from birth till death. And without greed, there is no ambition. It's a very mild way of putting it, but greed is something that you have to learn to live with, have it, and at the same time manage it.
Yeah.
So there's a psychology of greed that we have to understand if you want to talk about minimalism.
Right.
Next slide, please. Any comments, Venkatesh?
No, I think again, makes a lot of sense when you say that from the very beginning, age two onwards, everyone is trying to assert their identity. In a manner, asserting your identity is sort of based on collecting either attention, collecting resources, and therefore it's sort of hardwired to collect more. And I guess which leads us to the next slide, right?
Correct, correct. So, as Venkatesh just now mentioned, collection is an important element of living today. Now, collection starts from cradle. I'm repeating this.
Correct.
In a family, the elder one collects A, B, C, D, and the younger one wants to collect A, B, C, D as well. And so it goes. So, if you are collecting things, you want to collect big things. So, you believe that something is big and you have that belief, bigger is better and so forth. Because if you have a bigger toy, you are a better off child and so forth. So there is an understood sort of an undercurrent of the way we do things and we live it out. And there the underlying philosophy has been that the bigger you have, the better you are. The bigger slice of bread or the bigger piece of cake or something bigger, and you say, see, I got something bigger. And that is there, particularly visible in joint families where there is a competitive element between brothers and siblings, which may not be the case with standalone families.
Correct.
So anywhere there is comparison, there is a big mess coming in. And bigger is better is the mantra that is injected into the brains of the babies and children and even adults gradually grow into that. So bigger the better is the philosophy of living. Good or bad, you see. Any comment?
No, I think again, this goes to your overall theme across so many of our discussions, and I'm sure will be part of our forward discussions. Many of these things aren't good or bad unto themselves. If it's not in balance is when there is a problem. To even have some minimal drive, you need to seek that, that is in a form greed. But if you don't manage it, then it gets counterproductive. And if you become a slave to more is better, bigger is better, that's when the problem starts.
Very true. Very correct. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Next slide, please. Now, as we grow up and then as we go along the paths of life, gradually we realize the less the stuff you have in your home, in your trunk, in your whatever, the less the stuff, happier you are. Because if you have too many things to worry, you have a couple of cars, you have cycles, you have money, you have bank balance, you have a girlfriend, the more the things you fill your life with, what we call as stuff. The more we stuff ourselves with, the less happy you are, and vice versa. The less stuff you have, you lead a happier life. But to understand this and appreciate this, it takes a long time. The same child which wanting to process more and more stuff from his elder brother, gradually realizes that craving for stuff and stuffing yourself with stuff, if you put it that way, is no use. So it's not counterproductive that the child takes time to appreciate. And we even adults take time to appreciate. If your neighbor has a Cadillac, you have to have a Cadillac Plus, like that. So then we know this, and we know there is a problem with this possessing a lot of stuff, but still we adhere to that. There are Sanskrit shlokas in this, The more the stuff you carry, the less happy you are, the more, and even in Christianity, you say, you cannot serve God and mammon together. And if you are close to mammon, which is again all your toys and possessions, you are moving away from God. So that basic equation and understanding of the philosophy of life has to be inculcated and practiced. It doesn't come easily, and for many people, it doesn't even come at all. With one foot in the grave, more and more people want to stuff themselves with more and more stuff. And less happy they are. And let's see how we can go about it. Next slide, please. There is one important element of living. Man is a social animal. And social animal means, there is one social animal vis-a-vis another social animal, which we call Joneses. Something called keeping up with the Joneses. Again, going back to the example of the brothers, the siblings.
He's the closest Jones. He's your closest comparison. Absolutely. Correct.
Right. So that is how the keeping up with the Joneses starts. And that goes on to all your getting your MBA from Harvard and your, what have you, all the entire pasara of the world, as Kabir would put it.
Correct.
So that gathers momentum and that gathers garbage also. So once you are hung up with your own Joneses keeping up with,
Right.
you tend to collect everything because you
Correct.
think that I may need tomorrow, I may need this day after tomorrow, I may need this next year. So I collect. And in the process of collecting, yeah, they are also comparing with the guy next door. What
Correct.
is he collecting? What am I collecting? Etc.
Yeah.
But keeping up with Joneses is a phenomenon where you just can't stop it. Somebody has initiated it and it goes on like
Correct.
that.
Correct.
Keeping up with the Joneses is, next, come on. Any
Sorry.
comments, Venkatesh?
No, I think the very valid point. I guess you're drawing out the continuum. It starts when you're a child with you have that zero sum thinking, as they call it, that you
Yeah.
can only gain to the extent that you can sort of collect and keep to yourself. And as you go, as you grow and your circle increases, it goes beyond family to neighbors, to colleagues, to competitors in your mind. And so you are all the time collecting because there is the intrinsic fear that if you don't collect, you will fall short and you are at risk.
Right. Very true. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
Against this background, a German economist
Right.
by name Schumacher,
Right.
came to the idea of appreciating things that are small. I'm not talking about side type of small things, where you are doing it a little cruelly.
Right.
People say the side plants are psychologically traumatized already.
Right.
Let's not get into. But Schumacher was the one to talk about how small things can be beautiful.
Correct.
You don't need something big and big, and then lose your mind in the bargain. So we started appreciating small things, and he said, "Small is beautiful." Instead of "It is beautiful," small is beautiful. And of course, not all the people pay attention to that because this is contra to the vein of capitalism. Capitalism, you have to have more and more and more. Otherwise, you are no good. You are a failure.
Correct.
If you have the latest model of a Rolex watch, or if you don't have the latest iPod, you are a failure. And you are brand. This branding traumatizes the individual a lot, and one should have a lot of maturity and understanding to grow beyond that. Next slide, please. Now, if you want to have less things, you have to let go of things. A lot of things keep coming your way on a daily, hourly basis. Something or the other keeps coming. For example, a gift of Christmas gift comes on December 23rd. We can't say no to that. We can't throw it out. At the same time, what do you do with it? If you want to celebrate, you're holding on to that Christmas gift, then you are only making yourself more miserable. More weightage, more garbage, if you like. So during Christmas, people nowadays are highly traumatized because they don't know what to keep and what not to keep and how to leverage that good thing. So unless you have to let go. You have to let go. Now, letting go is a unique concept in Hinduism or Indianism, if you like. And the more you let go, the wealthier you become. There are people who practice this, and this is where the minimalistic approach sets in. Venkatesh, any comments on this?
No, again, makes a lot of sense. And I think it's interesting you said that, in Indian philosophy, Hindu philosophy, to begin with, the notion of having less has spread to many other philosophies that have emanated from India, right? So, for example, Buddhism and as it has spread to Japan and as far out as that. For example, the Japanese aesthetic is all about minimal, right? And in fact, today that's become a trend in many things. Yes, absolutely. You have to let go. You have to declutter.
That's right. You have to let go. Tyag, we call it tyag.
Correct.
In Indian philosophy, you have to have tyag, a sense of tyag. That means you are giving up something voluntarily in favor of somebody else, and you feel happy about it. You don't complain. You don't grudge that you have to let go. You have to let, and that makes your ballast, as it were, less heavy, and you don't have to carry more ballast. So this letting go, there are many practical examples, but letting go doesn't come easy. You're all the time feeling, oh, I'm a fool to let it go. Like, for example, jokingly, she said, your girlfriend was girlfriend till yesterday, and today she has found a boyfriend.
Correct.
So you have to let go the whatever
Correct.
boyfriend or girlfriend you have.
Correct.
And then that is a true wealth, Otherwise you'll go mad. You
Correct.
don't know how to
Correct.
stop and where to let go.
Correct.
There are people who commit suicide for the girlfriends going around with somebody else and so forth. This example may sound a little crude, but it is always the case.
Correct. And it extends across life. I guess parents unable to let go of children growing up and moving away, or
Right.
not being able to let go of physical health, which is natural that it will not remain the same. Correct.
Right. Next slide, please. Now here, a simple biblical concept of living and high thinking comes into. Now, Mahatma Gandhi has been given the credit of using this in his political strategic thinking.
Correct.
And he decided that unless he started living very simply, we cannot have high thinking because your mind is preoccupied with all complicated stuff.
Correct.
And don't live simple, your thinking is muddled. Your thinking is all topsy-turvy. And he leveraged this in his freedom fight against Britain.
Correct.
Then he realized that one of the most powerful weapons he could ever have in his political career is to live simple and show to people that you are living simple and you are commanding the entire nation.
Correct.
So, for example, it's when Gandhi had to go to the UK to have a discussion with the Viceroy or somebody there.
Correct.
And the UK is poor, naturally.
Correct.
And people said, Gandhi, you are coming with a copine. Copine is that loin cloth.
Correct.
He lived with a loin cloth in India.
Correct.
And when he go to London, he stayed on with the loin cloth, and people said, you are a fool. It's so cold, you'll catch a cold and you'll die and all that stuff.
Correct.
But he said, simple living is my motto.
Correct.
And I will live simply and I will leverage the simple living in my negotiations with the British monarchy. So he converted this into not objective admiration. And from that point onwards, there was no looking back. Gandhi was living simple all through. So his own loin cloth and one upper body cloth, all that he had, and his intellect. So all those things put together, high thinking comes in, and it has to come. It will come only if you are
simple
living it. Only then you have your high thinking. Next slide, please. Here is a standard figure diagram I show to my audiences. And something I picked up from one of the Illustrated Weekly of India or some such thing. This man doesn't have anything at all, and to draw him figure, you don't need a portrait and all that. Here is a curved line and a straight line. That's it. That's this man. And
that signifies him. So simply, the drawing is simple and signifies the simplicity in the man. Correct.
Yeah. So simplicity can't be more simple than this. Nothing, just a piece of chalk and something to write on. And that remained. And most places, even if you do Google today, or if you go to encyclopedia, you'll see this of Gandhi. Gandhi is never seen, except in his student days, Gandhi is never seen with suited and booted attire.
Correct. So, or early professional days. Correct. Now, in fact, to your point of his visit to Britain, the point that he made, which is actually very funny, but it sort of puts it out there, that when he was asked, aren't you underdressed for the meeting with the king? He said, no, he's wearing enough for both of us. So,
yeah, very clever, very clever. So, as they say, we all have enough of everything for our need and nothing of enough of for the greed. If you're greedy, nothing is nothing. And so forth. This is again Gandhi's statement. And there is no political angle to this. You don't need to.
Correct. I guess different people have different views on things, but I think to the late, whether it was Schumacher or many others today, talking about the need for sustainability at a larger economic level, a lot of what Gandhiji said was in some ways presaging that If you keep on increasing your consumption footprint, as they call it today, carbon footprint, you are going to, it's not going to be sustainable. And what is true for the individual is true for the village, is true for the country. Was his taking it, at some level to a point which most people found a little difficult, but today it's come back, right, in a different way. That as mankind, we need to live within our resources and not keep on expanding what we need.
Correct. Very true. Very true. Next slide. Now, simple living, high thinking sort of cuts through various aspects of life and other things that we do or that we profess or we propagate or we champion.
Correct.
So this is true and true. So let's come to eating. Eating is drawing a lot of attention nowadays.
Correct.
And eating is a very primitive, primordial function without which you live. Correct. And for eating, you would say you're feeling hungry, you eat. That used to be the part. People would say you're hungry, you would eat. But then eating became very complex. And people started eating very sophisticated stuff,
Correct.
Chicken curry or payasam or some such thing. And then that kind of eating when you are feeling hungry, that formula became, shaky.
Correct.
Feeling hungry all the time with the refrigerator and with the freezer. You're hungry all the time, 24/7. So you can't be eating 24/7. But unfortunately, many of us do that. And this led to the school of thought of intermittent fasting. So if you fast, you may not agree at all. You say, I won't fast.
Right.
But then you have to say how to fast.
Correct.
That question came up, and then you had to find a way of eating at the right time, and fasting at the right time. Correct. For which this model was created and followed largely by the academics today. Correct. Largely by nutritionists. And he said, out of 24 hours, you don't keep on eating. Correct. Yeah, you stop eating, and you wait for 2/3 of the time, and then you eat. So you have that fast, excuse me, eat fast, eat cycle. But eating is 8 hours and fasting is 16 hours. Correct. So this was devised and largely followed. Correct. And there are many people who still follow that. But unfortunately, people do this when they go to a spa, but then when they come home or when they go to their office party, it all goes for a toss. Correct. So intermittent fasting is still very valid. And it is a modern day fasting, if you like. If you say I am fasting today because it is Ekadashi today, people will laugh at you. But if you say I am fasting today because I am in the 8-16 cycle, so I will fast for 16 hours. You say, oh my God, he is a great guy. He is fasting for 16 hours. Correct. You have to package your thing. So this intermittent fasting had to be packaged. But even today, it is not being packaged. It is only in the academia that this is gained currency. And but it is very important. And once you develop this habit, your eating pattern will be more stabilized. There is what we call as the conditioned reflex and so forth. When you eat, you don't eat, etc., etc. Maybe we'll have a separate session later on.
Yeah, I think it's an important one, and how you manage your diet and how you do that in a sustainable way is, I think, very much the need of a separate session. But I think this makes the point very well, that at this primordial level, you have to start with something like eating is one of the more important ways to manage this craving for more all the time, and its deleterious effects at the physical level itself.
Right. Next slide, please. The opposite of any kind of fasting is gluttony. Gluttony is biblical sin. Let me be clear.
Correct.
Gluttony has been described as a sin in Bible.
Correct.
Why is it? Because you are eating something when somebody is not getting anything at all to eat. And you keep eating and eating, and you overeat, you become fat, and you become all over the place.
Out of shape, ill. Yeah.
So gluttony laid the foundation for this kind of a thing, and gluttony is uncontrolled eating. Correct. Whereas your intermittent fasting is very disciplined, very organized, very restricted in the right time at the right manner. So it's a counter argument to gluttony. But gluttony is very much there today. Yeah. In corporate office, particularly corporate, where during the tea break or during your lunch break or whatever,
Or
you
if you're
consume.
working late at night. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
And so forth. So that's to be avoided. Next slide, please. And for that, there is a formula in Ayurveda.
Right.
Says Langanam Parama Aushadam. Means, if you are overeating and if you are going all over the place, you have fat dripping around your waist.
Correct.
There's no point in taking any medicine. Today's spas and holiday resorts and other things are minting millions of rupees or dollars just to shed 5 kilos of body weight. And then you go back home and eat all that up and finish it off. You work yourself out and then you have a beer break and all that thing is undone. Whatever benefit you got out of fasting is all gone.
Cleansing or detoxing.
Yeah, detoxification. Now that itself is a bit of a hoax. Yeah, you cannot remove any.
This is
body doesn't keep any toxins, except your boss. You've got the toxic boss. That is the latest in executive life today. You've got a toxic office and toxic environment, toxic IT segment, a toxic whatever. So what do you do if you want to get rid of your body weight? Then you do Langhanam. Langhanam is fasting. And this is complete fasting.
Yeah.
And for example, you should learn a lot from the Jains. The Jain community believes in 1 full month of only water.
right.
And it is very easy. In my own office, there are a couple of fellows who are doing that. Extremely rigid schedule, very disciplined, but it helps. Your body control leads to your mind control also. So they go together. And the Langanam Parama Aushadam is a proper Ayurvedic formula.
Correct.
Which you have to follow. You've got an upset stomach, don't take anything. Just stop eating. Yeah. That used to be the case in our childhood also.
Correct.
We used to laugh at it. I'm feeling hungry, but I said, good you are feeling hungry at 6 in the morning. Yeah. So because we have been fasting prior, etc. So Langanam Parama Aushadam is a formula which is still very, very valid. Next slide, please.
And just an observation here. You also mentioned, for example, Ekadashi, right? Or we are in the middle of Navratri right now, right? And this, how it has been baked into our cycles at the monthly level, at the fortnightly level, at the annual level, that, you have these periodic recommended periods of either fasting or eating less of something, or let's say in Shravan, you don't eat non-veg. All of this is a way to, practice through a set of, maybe traditions or rituals, but very wisely causing you to reduce your intake at some frequency. And so I think this is how this principle of fasting has been baked into, let's say, Hinduism. And of course, the parallels are there in other religions as well.
Okay. Yeah, very nice. Very true. Thank you. The next slide, please.
Yeah.
Now, coming back to the psychology of, anti-minimalism.
Right.
We don't become minimal. How come we refuse to become minimal?
Right.
Because we want to do everything better and best and so forth.
Correct.
There are a couple of NGOs where I have done some work with. So their basic formula was better and best.
Correct.
Big is taken for granted, better and best are the ones to strive for, some kind of crazy marketing gimmick. But then everybody wants only to win.
Correct.
You go to the stock market, you go to BCG, you go to whatever, you go to Winston, whatever. Everybody wants to win and win. Win this contract, win that thing, win over that. So winning is addictive, which is okay. Within reasonable limits, winning is ambitious, but ambition to greed is a very thin line. You are ambitious all the time. You are also growing greedy side by side. So what do? You try to do something, you win. It's literally like gambling. And life is a gamble. What else? Win, and then you get intoxicated with that, you win again, and then you win more, and you keep winning and winning and winning. And it is never enough for you. There's a Sanskrit shloka for this, which I will share next time, depending upon the availability of script. So winning becomes a habituation and addiction.
Right.
Addiction becomes addiction. There is a philosophy to that. If you are addicted to something, that is your addiction. People want this is nonsense, but that is the case. So again and again, winning is a problem. And that leads to the antithesis of minimalism. You want to have more. Your neighbor has Cadillac, you have to have Ferrari or something bigger. And it goes on. Next slide, please. Here, before we conclude, I want to share a slide of Akbar and Birbal.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a very common example given in many management seminars also.
Right.
But I use it a little slightly differently. Akbar and Birbal, the very famous couple,
Correct.
the king and courtier. They were faced with something, and Akbar used to be in the habit of giving out riddles. He
Right.
tells all these courtiers, you do this ABCD, and then what comes out. Every riddle, every morning he will have a riddle.
Right.
And one fine morning, Akbar said, I will give you a riddle today, and it is like this. I draw a line on the floor, and I want you to make that line shorter without erasing or rubbing off any part of it.
Correct.
So all the courtiers were stunned. I said, how is it possible? He has drawn a line and he wants you to make the line shorter without wiping off part of the line. It is crazy. He's gone mad. And he gave Birbal one day to practice that. Next morning, Birbal came and right in front of the king, he showed how he can make the line shorter without touching it. He simply drew a longer line next to that and said, look, this line has become shorter.
Correct.
I didn't do anything. The line, which was longer, became shorter. And Akbar, as usual, said, Birbal, you are a genius, you are a this, you are a that. But this you can see. I'll give you examples of how increments in office. I was in a pharma company. I have spent a lot of time in pharma companies. And one pharma company guy, used to announce increments.
Right.
Say grade A, B, C, D, etc. Increments will be from A, B, C, D again, like that. So one guy, one manager, junior manager, got an increment and he was very happy. He came out of the cabin of the executive and was jumping for joy.
Correct.
And people clapped and then they did more of that. And by afternoon, when this man's turn came,
Right.
he went into the cabin and then came back crestfallen and
Correct.
abusing them because he said, in the morning you are okay, you are fine with the increment I gave you. In the evening, why are you doing this? He said, that is precisely the problem. Why did you give that the guy more increment than myself? It actually just happened. I don't name the company, but these things happen. Everything is comparative.
Correct.
Your happiness is comparative. Your sadness is also comparative.
Correct.
Yeah. As you say, I was trying for a shoe till I found a boy with no legs at all.
Correct.
So find somebody or look at somebody, look for somebody who can has to live with this kind of a thing.
Correct.
And comparisons are all odious, as they say.
Correct.
Maybe odious, but comparisons hurt.
Correct.
Unless you become philosophical. And this is where the question of destiny. Somebody has a Cadillac and you have a Rolls Royce, whatever. You will say destiny. What do you mean destiny? Who creates destiny? Nobody does. You yourself create destiny. That kind of a thing. So that is the best philosophy you can survive in a highly competitive capitalistic world. And there's nothing bad about any of these. They are there. Capitalism is as real as communism and so forth. And you cannot have only capitalism, you cannot have only communism. But at any given point in time, your formula, your axiom should be comparative. Are you staying within the range of whatever is appropriate for that situation or the person? Then if it is okay, you are okay. If not, you are not okay. Some kind of a comparative formula, comparative paradigm has to be drawn only for yourself. It doesn't have to be shown to anybody.
Correct.
That comparative paradigm has to reside in your mind, in your heart, and in your brain. Correct. Then you have conquered all this greed and all kinds of asthas, as they call it. Correct. So I thought I would share this with you. So
awesome, Doctor. No, awesome. I think this has been very instructive. I think it also sets up many further discussions because we tackled the topic of reducing clutter and minimizing, ranging from how it's hardwired to how we manage it in our professional lives at the intellectual level, and then all the way down, if you can call it, in the Maslow's hierarchy to the most primordial, right? Eating and gluttony. And I think it's food for thought for many things, things to come in the future. Thank you, Doctor, for your time today. Look forward to the next one.
Yes. Thank you, Venkatesh. Next session due.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.